Three men hoping to become Michigan's next governor. But first, they have to win the primary in August.
I have a three-point affordability agenda that starts with health and then goes with housing and energy.
I've been in the fight for quite a long time.
We're giving too much money away to the government to throw away. That's our biggest issue.
In one of their first debates together right here in our studio, the Republican candidates, Perry Johnson.
I'm an outsider. I admit I'm not a politician. I'm a guy that's in the outside of the outside.
John James.
I'm going to lead by example, working with anyone and everyone across the state.
And Mike Cox.
If you want new reforms, you have to elect a winner. And I've won twice statewide, and neither one of these fellows has.
All facing off to be the Republican nominee.
We have analysis from tonight's debate and a look at where the race for the governor goes from here in tonight's special edition of News 8. And hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Brian Sterling.
I'm Amber Kriska. This is News 8 at 11.
In tonight's hour-long debate, the three Republican candidates had the opportunity to let Michiganders know why they should be Michigan's next governor.
We want to start tonight with a look at some highlights from the debate. Tonight's debate started with one of the most important issues for people in Michigan, affordability.
We're giving too much money away to the government to throw away. That's our biggest issue.
I'm going to be focusing my philosophy on retention, then reclamation, and then recruiting, focusing on changing the structure in Lansing.
Repeal Governor Whitmer's Green New Energy scam, which over the next 4 years, ladies and gentlemen, is going to add $11 billion to your rates.
But by question 3 on bipartisanship.
That's what politicians do. I'm an outsider. I admit I'm not a politician. I'm a guy that's in the outside of the outside.
I'm going to submit to the Lord and serve his people. I'm here because I have a passion for service.
But it starts with being credible and honest and telling the truth.
There came the jabs.
Perry, you are a politician. You spent $12 million, got kicked off the ballot for fraud, spent $30 million to primary President Trump, and you're spending $25 million to lie about me.
And you can smile about that because you're the son of a CEO. You're the son of the CEO. That's why you smile about people losing their jobs.
Mike Cox, I'm the son of a CEO who is a truck driver. His father was a mason. His father was a sharecropper. His father was a slave. How dare you shame the steps it takes to come up from Mississippi and build a life of prosperity for a family like mine?
I agree with you. Your father is an honorable man. I met him at a number of your fundraisers that I went to help you when you ran and lost before. So I do agree with that, and I do respect him. But he's different than you.
Moving along to education and how to improve test scores.
We take the best practices of other states, right? We don't have to reinvent the wheel.
We need a Bill of Rights for parents. It starts with the parents. In addition, let's recognize charter schools are very effective, and we have to let the money follow the student. We also need that mega audit.
If you go to johnjamesmi.com, you will find a parental Bill of Rights where it talks about things like parents having control, understanding the curriculum, and having common sense in our education system. I believe that when you give parents a choice, you give children a chance.
And what to do with data centers.
Let the people decide, not the politicians.
We should never be incentivizing people to build data centers. And I will not take any money from anyone who's building a data center.
Data centers have to have local control. They have to make sure that our electricity bills don't go up, that we need to protect our water, we need to prevent pollution.
And the winner of the August 4th primary will face the Democratic nominee, either Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson or Sheriff Chris Swanson.
Moderator of the debate, WOOD TV8 political reporter Rick Albin joining us now live. And Rick, what was your main takeaway tonight?
Well, I think that the three candidates tried their best to distinguish themselves from the other two. And that was their job tonight. This may be the best last opportunity they have to get in front of a statewide audience, because we were in Lansing and Detroit and Flint and Marquette and Alpena and Traverse City and obviously here in West Michigan. So there were a lot of eyes potentially on this debate tonight. And when I was looking at the numbers after I went back down to my office, you know, if you look at the average of polls, these three candidates are on average about within 8 points of each other. So it's not a very big spread. So if somebody can get a little attention and get a little bit of a bump and start to move those numbers, that's exactly what they were trying to do tonight. So we'll have to wait for a few days until more polling comes out, but we'll see if this debate tonight had any of that kind of impact. Was there one person that viewers were looking at and saying, I think he did a good job? we won't know until we can see some of those numbers. And as we pointed out before, voting's already happening right now. So it will be interesting to see what, if any, impact this debate had tonight.
Yeah, you bring up a good point there, Rick. The ballots are already out. Some are already coming back. We're so close to the primary. Do you think the needle moves at all here?
I think it could, because I don't think a lot of voters have a really good handle on who the candidates are. I mean, primary elections are kind of an unusual animal because it happens early in the year. People aren't always paying attention. And I think that may well be the case here. So this is really the first time that you've been able to see these three. They had a debate last night in Detroit and this debate here, but this is really the first time you've had an opportunity to see them going in depth, talking about policy, talking about who they are, what they would do, and why they're different from the other guys on stage. So I think tonight was a good opportunity for all of them, and I think on balance, I think they all did more or less what they had to do.
Yeah, maybe a good thing that debate happened last night, too, because they came into this debate a little bit more focused.
Yeah, I think they were. I think that they were probably still remembering some of what went on last night, but I also think that they were really anxious to deal with some of these items that we put in front of them, because that's really for them where that race is going to lie. What are you going to do about affordability? What are you going to do about education? What are you going to do about making housing more available? Those are some of the questions they got to answer tonight.
Certainly. All right, Rick, great job again.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us tonight. And our debate night coverage picks back up in just a couple of minutes. We take you into the spin room. Stay with us.